So the thing about greatness, like the Denver Nuggets, is they create clarity. How do you compare to greatness? They really illustrate a team's flaws. And when the Lakers face Denver, you really see their flaws that can be hidden against average teams to slightly better than average. D'Angelo Russell, can't trust him in big playoff spots. Austin Reeves, he's a nice 4, not a great one. Lakers bench, Darvin Ham, meh. AD and LeBron were great. 13 total assists, 59 total points, 56% from the floor. LeBron and AD were fantastic. It's a great 1-2 punch. But Denver has the world's best player in Jokic. And maybe the best duo in the league with Jamal Murray, who's one of the rare players who's significantly better in the playoffs than in the regular season. Aaron Gordon, a top athlete defender. Michael Porter, 17-7. KCP, always lethal in the postseason. And an experienced championship-winning coach. Twice in game 1, Denver just shifted gears for like 90 seconds to 2.5 minutes, blew the Lakers' doors off. And again, LeBron and AD were great.
See, I want to pause real fast because I really just want to plant this flag because there's such this false narrative that, like, Jokic is winning rings and winning all this with no help around him. And as Colin just perfectly laid out, is that could not be further from the truth. Is Jokic the best player? Obviously, without a doubt. Does Jokic help elevate these players? Absolutely. But they have a team. Their team is great. And they all do their roles perfectly. And people want to act like some of these other players are scrubs, and they're just not. You know, they may have not been able to be these individual superstars, you know, or be able to lead their own team to a championship. But that's, you know, most players aren't like that. So I just hate this narrative that the Nuggets, that it's like just all Jokic. It's just Jokic. Jokic is the leader, is leading this team to all these championships or all this, you know, this big run and all this. And these other players get no acknowledgement. Like when people talk about LeBron James winning, you know, they don't really talk about as much as you would think. Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, Kevin Love, Kyrie Irving. And it's just like, it just doesn't make sense. When we talk about Jordan, yes, of course, everyone emphasizes the 6-0, but people, especially in the more recent times, always emphasize Scottie Pippen, you know, Steve Kerr, any of these other players. So, you know, Dennis Rodman. I just don't get why with the Nuggets we're acting like he's playing with a bunch of this ragtag group of guys that are not that good. You know, Aaron Gordon is an elite defender, unbelievably athletic. Was he, you know, we saw his athleticism on, you know, over the years. Yes. Did he turn out to be a player that's 30-10 every single game? No. But is he unbelievable talent? Yes. So I hate this idea that Jokic just keeps winning with no support because it just could not be further from the truth. Jokic wasn't even really doing anything that crazy throughout the game. He didn't really kind of round out his points total, you know, 30 plus points until the very end of the game, near the end of the game. But we saw that whole first half. That game was close, or the Nuggets even winning, and it wasn't because Jokic, you know, dropped 20 points in a quarter. It was because everyone else around them was putting in the work.
But the Lakers have lost 9 straight to Denver, and they've led by 10 or more in half of those games. But the difference is the Nuggets give you consistent excellence with an occasional spurt. The Lakers are hot and cold. There's a nuanced analytic stat called organized offense percentage by quarter. It's boring, but what it illustrates is Denver is literally the same team the entire game. And the Lakers were very good early and very bad late. As LeBron, as his age gets older and gets tired, he often gets very sloppy, and that initiates these big Denver 2-minute runs, and it's game over. So Denver's very much a marathon runner. They run the first mile at the same speed as the last mile, and they know it's Steve Prefontaine. They can endure more than you can over the course of a couple hours. And you're just watching an excellent team. And I said before the series, it's not that the Lakers are going to lose, because they are. But what if they get swept again or lose in 5 games, which they will? What are the repercussions? LeBron has options. Golden State is interested. Will Darvin Ham get run out? D'Lo's gone. Are they tired of just Austin Reeves, AD, and nobody else on the bench you can really trust? There are repercussions for great players when they lose. Maybe not for KD, who's a bit of a wanderer, but there have been historically for LeBron, who is not. He's just mobile, but when he gets his feet in the ground in a place he wants to live, he's going to make changes. So this series and these games, 9 straight times I've watched all these games. They're all...
What a weird dig at KD. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. KD went to OKC, tried his best to win with Westbrook, who Colin points out is not good and very difficult to win with. He then goes to Golden State, wins, then says, okay, you know what? I want to try to go do this in Brooklyn. He plays with weird Kyrie, who Colin also points out is brutal, as well as James Harden, does everything he can to carry that team by himself, almost gets to the finals, but was a big toe over the line, so doesn't. Then wants out because that team is collapsing, and what do you want him to do? And he goes to and now he goes to Phoenix. LeBron couldn't win in Cleveland, went to Miami, won in Miami, got run off the court against the Spurs, then ran back to Cleveland, because he knew that he was, pretty much hated there and needed to try to win a championship there, and then went to the Lakers. So he's traveled just about the same as KD. So this idea that KD's a wanderer, but LeBron is mobile is what a weird biased dig at KD. That makes no sense.
All the same. D'Lo doesn't deliver. It feels like they're slightly outcoached. They have moments of excellence,
Slightly.
but it's the continued, consistent success that Denver provides, and it creates clarity. That's the great thing about championship teams. You look at the Chiefs. You start looking at great teams across the board. Michigan this year, they point out your flaws, what you need to work on. And boy, does Denver do that to the Lakers. No, you can't. All right.
Okay, so the other thing that I wanted, because that's the end of the clip. The other thing that I wanted to add is I think it's sad that we just keep wanting to talk about the same talking points again and again and again and again and again. Because truthfully, the most interesting storyline for Colin to open up his show, because this was the first segment of his show, was not LeBron James and the Nuggets. Now, I get it. The Nuggets are the reigning champions. Jokic, right? An absolute star right now. Superstar. Best player in the league. One of the best players in the league, depending on how you want to look at it. And then you have LeBron, right? LeBron is the LeBron. No introduction needed. And the Lakers, iconic. And we're talking about this game, but the truth is that the Lakers never had a chance at this. LeBron never had a chance at this. And we keep trying to act like they do, and they don't. So to me, this story is not that interesting, not that important. Why do we have to keep milking the Lakers and LeBron in this story for as much as possible? To me, the most exciting storyline of the playoffs was actually OKC versus New Orleans. That was the most exciting game out of all of the games that were played. I mean, there was like a million lead changes, ties, back and forth, SGA, up and coming player. It was an unbelievable game. Unbelievable. Brandon Ingram making some dirty, dirty shots. I mean, two young up and coming teams just going back and forth. OKC, that crowd was through the roof going nuts. That game was so much fun. Yet leading up to that game, no one talked about it. I mean, I do all these shows. I don't think there was any conversation about OKC versus New Orleans. In fact, the only conversation they had was, should the Lakers have tried to play OKC instead of the Denver Nuggets? I mean, that game was awesome. And the Pelicans are fighting for their life, and they don't even have Zion. And the OKC is the number 1 seed. Just doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make sense. And we say that the Lakers have all these flaws. The Nuggets expose Lakers' flaws, and they're not a good team, yet it was pretty much implied that they would absolutely just beat OKC. That they could just beat the Timberwolves. That they could just beat these other teams. That it's just Denver that they can't get by. Make that make sense. I cannot. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And this is what drives me crazy about the product of the NBA. Because I'm watching that game, the OKC versus the Pelicans, and that game is so exciting. It is just peak basketball. peak basketball. They're letting them play. So much fun. And yet, no one's really talking about it relative to not that really exciting of a game with LeBron James and Denver Nuggets. Where the fourth quarter, LeBron James, I don't think he even took a shot. He didn't even have a shot attempt. And yet, that's what everyone wants to talk about, is LeBron James and the Lakers. And I just think it's bad entertainment. It really is. And then they get like the D squad to do the OKC, for the commentating, no disrespect to them, but it's not the main people that everyone really knows unless you really watch basketball. And I just think it's sad because they put all their eggs and emphasis on just a few players, and then they're shocked that the ratings aren't spread out. And it need not be that. People will listen and watch what kind of people tell them to do. Right? What the news tells, what the media tells us is exciting and interesting. Everyone just kind of follows that. But they keep shoving LeBron James and the Lakers down everyone's throat, and they say, well, this is what people want to see. This is what people want to watch. And it's like, because that's all you're showing us. We don't have a choice. So it just does not make sense to me. Because any actual true fan of basketball, and even if you're a casual fan, watch that OKC Pelicans game. Watch highlights. And you will say that that game was way more exciting, way more interesting, way more fun, exhilarating, nervousness than the Lakers versus the Nuggets, versus any other game. And it's just that they just focus. American sports does this, and it's to such a detriment. Because I also watch F1. I've mentioned this before. F1 racing. Which is pretty cool. I definitely recommend people check it out. And if you're not into it, you should watch the Netflix documentary series on it, Drive to Survive. Awesome. But they have their greats. They have their own individual GOATs. The one guy's name is Lewis Hamilton. 7-time champion. He's essentially the Tom Brady, the Patrick Mahomes of the sport. And he's also older. He's, definitely old for, racing. And they don't talk about him nonstop throughout the race. Every 5 seconds like they do with LeBron James, Jokic, any of these other players that they keep trying to just drive home. They talk about the other racers. They talk about the younger up-and-coming ones. And if Lewis Hamilton is not in position to win the race and he's at the bottom of the field, it's called, they refer to it as the field, at the bottom of the field, meaning like he's in like 15th place instead of first, second, third, or fourth, they don't keep talking about him nonstop. And after the race, they don't spend an hour saying, well, what happened to Lewis Hamilton? Why wasn't he more competitive? Like we do here. This game was not that interesting. This game was not that exciting. LeBron James played pretty good. He did. He played great. But then he completely faded away in the fourth quarter. We do not need to spend all of Monday breaking down what went wrong for the Lakers. Can LeBron James ever win? What happens if the Lakers go down 0-2? We don't have to do that. We can talk about the amazing fight of OKC. The fact that the Milwaukee Bucks destroyed the Pacers without Giannis. I just wish we had more balanced view, more balanced consumption or just media to be able to, to give us than what we get. Because we need not start the day off with LeBron James and the Lakers. It's just unnecessary. And as someone who loves basketball, who loves the NBA, who lives for the playoffs, because that's what I'm thinking. I'm watching that OKC game, and I'm thinking, this is why the regular season is so boring. Because this is what real basketball looks like. This is what I know basketball can be. So when I watch the 30th game of the season, I'm like, who really cares? That moment is insane when you're watching the OKC versus Pelicans. When the score is just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And you see the players care so much. The coach, the fans, the refs, everything is so intense, so elevated. And it's just exhilarating. It's just amazing basketball. And yet, no one's talking about it. I just can't make sense of it. I really, really can't. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. Do you think the Nuggets exposed the Lakers' flaws? Do you agree with me that we focus too much on LeBron James and all this other nonsense rather than just good basketball, good sports? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.